A congenitally disabled lion cub wants to drink mother's milk, but gets slapped by his mother. Then he drags his weak body and manages to squeeze in with difficulty, but before he could start nursing, his mother immediately stands up and throws him off. The poor lion looks bewildered. He does not understand why his mother would treat him this way. But what hurts him more is his mother and siblings, while he was sleeping, simply abandoned him. When he just woke up, he found himself all alone. Even the entire pride had left him behind. The little lion is named Dumela. He was born into the Nansfu pride, a large pride with more than 20 lions, including 6 lion cubs. Dumela is one of them. All the lion cubs were born to 2 lionesses, who raised the cubs together. But among these 6 newborn cubs, only little Dumela was the smallest and thinnest. Perhaps while in his mother's womb, he could not compete with his siblings, leading to poor development after birth. However, the laws of survival in the savannah are cruel. The same applies to lion cubs. His physical congenital defects made little Dumela extremely insecure. When other lion cubs play together, he always hides fearfully on the side. Although he wants to join in, his small frame and insecurity keep him from taking that step. Even when other cubs come to play with him, he also backed away in fear, showing extreme terror. But as a male lion, he needs friends, because after they reach adulthood, they need to form new male coalitions. However, when little Dumela gathered courage to take that step, he discovered that becoming part of this small group was extremely difficult. As the dry season arrives, most of the prey gather around the few remaining streams and waterholes, and the wild dog packs follow behind the herds. Without adult lionesses' protection, if wild dogs or leopards discover these cubs, they would likely kill them. In the 9 years since this pride was established, 10 cubs were born, but 9 of them died prematurely. So keeping these 6 cubs alive until adulthood is a challenging task for the mother lionesses. However, before the cubs reach an age where they can protect themselves, nighttime is the most dangerous. During these times, the lionesses urge the cubs to hide. Because they need to go hunting, they can't stay with their children all the time. But while the lionesses were hunting, a pack of wild dogs came nearby. Although individual wild dogs are no match for lions, their numerical advantage makes them a serious threat, especially to these newborn cubs. When the cubs heard the wild dogs howling nearby, felt a hint of fear. Now they have no protection from adult lions. If they are discovered by hunting dogs, they might not survive the night. Soon after, a leopard also secretly jumped down from the tree. Although they are both felines, leopards and lions are natural enemies. So if given the chance, it would definitely kill these lion cubs. As the situation became increasingly chaotic, the lion cubs hiding in the shadows had only a few sub-adult lions guarding them, and soon they clashed with the pack of hunting dogs. At this point, the lion cubs began to panic. They instinctively started hiding everywhere. Without realizing, they left their previous hiding spot. The next morning, only little Dumela, being too weak, remained in place, while the other 5 cubs were nowhere to be found. The 2 anxious lionesses began searching everywhere for traces of the cubs. Finally, in the dry riverb, they found 2 lost cubs. Then the other lioness, also near the border of another pride's territory, found the remaining cubs. Fortunately, their neighbors were not present. Otherwise, these 2 cubs would probably have lost their lives. A week later, Dumela's siblings had grown bigger and became more courageous. They have their own new game, which is to challenge the tolerance of 2 adult male lions napping in the pride. Seeing their older siblings getting along well with adult males, little Dumela from afar also wants to make friends with a big one. So he approaches another adult male lion. But this time, as expected, like always, he was completely ignored. Perhaps in the adult lion's eyes, the developmentally challenged little Dumela has no chance of reaching adulthood. Being eliminated by natural selection is just a matter of time. Finally, disappointed, he could only silently go to his mother's side, hoping to receive some motherly love. Until the next morning, little Dumela just woke up, opening his eyes, only to find the entire pride had left. Even his mother did not wait for him. He was abandoned on this empty wasteland. Without the pride's protection, his life would soon begin its countdown. Little Dumela lets out an immature call, hoping to get a response from his mother, but it was still in vain. Fate did not give him time to breathe. Some scavengers were already eagerly waiting. Little Dumela knew he had to leave quickly, because wild dogs had appeared nearby. As night fell again, the lonely little Dumela wandered aimlessly across the wasteland, continuously making immature and helpless calls. Without the pride's protection, if discovered by wild dogs or leopards, the consequences would be obvious. But often the rope breaks at its weakest point, and misfortune finds those who suffer most. What we feared most has happened. A leopard silently appeared near little Dumela. As the leopard drew closer, the fear in little Dumela's heart had reached its peak. Every muscle in his body was trembling, perhaps due to long-term malnutrition, or from extreme fright. The little lion fainted. Perhaps he had given up. He was just waiting for death to come. Just as the leopard was about to attack, something incredible happened. A nearby hippo suddenly charged forward. Faced with this aggressive giant, though reluctant, the leopard had no choice but to retreat. And so, little Dumela miraculously escaped danger. The little lion, just regaining consciousness, turned his head in disbelief. He never could have dreamed that a hippo would save him. This was the first time since birth that he felt kindness from the world. Suddenly, in the darkness, Dumela spotted familiar figures. These young adult lions were members of his pride. His cousins, you could say. Excited, he called out with all his might. Seeing they ignored him, little Dumela quickly approached them, hoping his cousins would lead him to his mother. But as he got close, he was met with a fierce swat. Actually, the young lions had already recognized Dumela, but they had no intention of accepting him, and directly treated him as their bullying target to play with as they pleased. Little Dumela, under these young lions' bullying, had absolutely no power to resist. These sub-adult lions at this stage easily reveal their bloodthirsty nature, so it is very possible that accidentally they could kill little Dumela. Probably even the little lion himself did not expect that while he survived Huobao's attack, he might die at the hands of his own pride members. Perhaps it was because of the commotion here that caught the lioness's attention. Soon, Dumela's mother miraculously appeared. When the mother saw her son, she could not imagine how little Dumela during these 2 days and nights had managed to survive until now. She protected her son by her side when the young lions approached again, wanting to continue bullying little Dumela. The mother drove them away without mercy. This time, little Dumela finally knew that his mother still loved him and had not really wanted to abandon him. Perhaps his mother's previous actions were due to survival pressure, but in the end, she could not bear to leave her son. This feeling made him truly happy. Even though he had been hungry for 2 days, he still dragged his weak body, closely following behind his mother. However, when little Dumela thought he had found salvation, he did not know that an even more tragic fate awaited him. The next day, little Dumela, who had returned to the pride, after experiencing last night's nightmarish torment, his body seemed to become increasingly weak. At this moment, he had almost reached the point where he could barely walk normally. The skeletal little Dumela, every step was extremely difficult, as if he might collapse at any moment. Moreover, his healthy brothers and sisters, as if by agreement, treated him as if he were invisible. When he staggered to his mother's side, wanting to nurse alongside his siblings, his mother issued a warning. Little Dumela kept licking his lips. He was so hungry he could not help but approach again. However, his mother quickly stood up, giving him no chance to nurse at all. Then little Dumela tried to find his aunt. But as soon as he approached, his aunt also stood up immediately, giving him no opportunity to nurse. During some cruel seasons, lionesses will select stronger cubs to nurse, while the weaker cubs will be eliminated by the pride. Clearly, little Dumela became the one to be eliminated. As the drought continued, the Nasifu pride's territory was running out of water. They had to relocate again. At this point, little Dumela was too weak physically. He had no strength to keep up the pride's pace. However, the entire pride, including his mother, not a single lion was willing to wait for him, even though little Dumela tried hard to catch up. But his pace was far too slow. His family's silhouettes disappeared once again. He was abandoned by his mother once more. Looking at this small, swaying figure, it appears quite desolate, but now little Dumela, the only way to survive, is to keep following the pride. When the pride stops to rest, little Dumela finally manages to catch up. But he is still unwelcome in the pride. They do not even give little Dumela time to rest. Then the lioness continues leading the cubs on their way. Without a chance to rest, little Mela is hungry and exhausted, but still limps on persistently, until he can barely control his balance, trembling as he walks. All along the way, little Dumela keeps up with the pride through sheer willpower. However, even so, the little one does not give up. He knows he absolutely cannot fall. When he falls again, he still struggles to get up and adjusts his direction. No one could imagine this lion cub, not even 2 months old, purely through willpower, could overcome his physical limits. Perhaps because of the countless times of being abandoned, he knows if he can't return to the pride in time, he might not survive even a day. Finally, little Dumela finally catches up with the pride when the mother is nursing. This time he waits quietly on the side, obediently waiting for his siblings to eat their fill. Perhaps this way he could gain his mother's sympathy. However, reality remains cruel. He does not get any milk and gets swatted instead. When little Dumela just approaches, the mother cruelly refuses to nurse him again. In fact, the lionesses are also making choices, because under these harsh conditions, if a lioness can determine which cub is most likely to die, he will instinctively allocate more resources to the other cubs who have a better chance of survival. Instead, this is not uncommon in this cruel animal world. Little Dumela's eyes are full of confusion. He does not understand why his mother is being so heartless. When he musters up the courage to try nursing again, his mother still refuses. After being rejected multiple times by his mother, little Dumela lets out a helpless cry. However, even so, the pride must continue their migration. Soon, the pride, with the other cubs, arrives at a river to drink. Having not nursed for a long time, the thirsty little Dumela could not keep up with the group. Fortunately, he soon discovers the rocks in the river below bank, but there is a crocodile hiding in the water. It is quietly watching little Dumela, who is preparing to jump down, because little Dumela does not know there is another way down. If he accidentally falls into the water from the slope, the crocodile will surely make him its meal. The lionesses in the pride also immediately spot the crocodile in the water. The lioness roars out warnings and threats, also warning little Dumela not to come down. But unable to find the path, little Dumela desperately wants to return to his mother's side. He does not want to be abandoned again. The entire pride just watched the little lion from afar. Soon he found himself in a dilemma. Little Dumela could only cry out loudly. Finally, his efforts and persistence paid off. This time, mother's emotions overcame her rationality. She came down to the bottom of the slope, then picked up little Dumela and brought him safely back to the pride. Poor little Dumela came to the waterhole, drinking water in big gulps. This would help relieve his hunger and thirst. Perhaps at this moment he understood that he had lost his privilege to nurse. Only after filling his belly did little Dumela reluctantly leave. The pride was still resting at the same spot. Mother was nursing other cubs. The desire for mother's milk made little Dumela unconsciously move closer. After a moment's hesitation, he carefully squeezed in. Surprisingly, this time mother did not reject him. Little Dumela's heart was filled with joy and gratitude. He greedily nursed. This was the first time since his injury that he had tasted his mother's milk. Though brief, this was the nutrition little Dumela desperately needed. Only with milk to drink would he have hoped to survive. This feeding of mother's milk was too important for little Dumela. He licked the remaining milk, not wanting to waste a single drop. After a brief rest, the pride began to move on again. Little Dumela still struggled to keep up with the pride's pace, once again falling far behind. Due to lack of nutrition, his injuries have not healed, making every step extremely difficult for him. However, he seems to have gotten used to it all. And at this moment, something touching happened. A little lion cub stopped and waited for him again. Then his mother and his other siblings also stopped, patiently waiting for little Dumela. From this moment on, little lion Dumela was finally accepted by the pride. This moment was the miracle he created. Little Dumela, with his extremely strong willpower and indomitable spirit, defied his fate, broke the shepherd's traditions, and won the pride's acceptance. I am the master of my fate. From today onwards, his legendary story is just beginning. Haha! I am the master of my fate. Indeed, this is the true childhood experience of the legendary Lion King, Silverthai Dumela. And it was these experiences that shaped his tenacious, unyielding character and superior strategy.